July 15th, 2157, the day that changed everything. Massive ships appeared in Earth's orbit, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metallic sheen. They emerged from hyperspace like dark clouds blocking out the stars, each vessel larger than our largest cities. The global defense network lit up like a Christmas tree. Every military installation worldwide went to high alert. Civilian broadcasts cut off, replaced by emergency protocols that hadn't been used since the Third World War. Their first transmission was simple. Your species has been deemed potentially hostile. Submit to quarantine or face extinction. The hegemony, as we would later know them, had made similar demands to a dozen other species. None had successfully resisted. But they made one critical mistake. They gave us 6 hours to respond, thinking it would be enough time to witness their overwhelming power and submit in fear. Instead, they gave humanity exactly what it does best with, a deadline and an impossible challenge. In those 6 hours, humanity demonstrated why we would eventually come to rule the galaxy. Every hacker, civilian, and military launched coordinated attacks on the alien vessels. Our quantum computers, primitive by their standards, discovered an exploit in their communications protocols that they'd considered mathematically impossible to breach. While their ships boasted shields that could withstand antimatter weapons, they never expected us to repurpose our orbital garbage collection systems into makeshift kinetic weapons. They had no defense against simple physics. Masses of space debris accelerated to relativistic speeds. When their 6-hour deadline arrived, 3 of their ships had already been crippled by debris impacts. Their command and control systems were compromised, and humanity had reverse-engineered enough of their basic communications technology to begin decoding their tactical networks. The Hegemony Fleet Commander's final transmission before retreating became famous throughout the galaxy. Impossible. They were supposed to be primitive. That was the moment the galaxy learned its first lesson about humanity. We don't play by anyone else's rules. The Hegemony's retreat gave us breathing room, but humanity knew we needed to prepare. The decades before first contact had already seen remarkable progress in space development. The Mars colonies housed over 1 million people, while Luna Base had become our primary shipyard and research facility. But now, everything accelerated. The captured alien technology from the damaged ships provided insights into FTL travel that would have taken us centuries to develop independently. Within months, the brightest minds on Earth had begun to understand the principles behind hyperspace mechanics. Luna Base transformed from a research station into humanity's fortress. The shipyards worked around the clock, incorporating alien tech into human designs. We didn't just copy their technology, we improved it. Where their ships relied on pure energy shields, we developed a hybrid system using layered kinetic barriers and electromagnetic fields. Our engineers called it the defense-in-depth approach. The first human FTL ship, Phoenix 1, launched 18 months after first contact. Its successful test flight to Alpha Centauri marked the beginning of humanity's true expansion into the stars. The ship's design reflected our unique approach. Smaller than Hegemony vessels, but more maneuverable, with redundant systems and innovative weapon placements. Our first interstellar colony ship reached Proxima Centauri b within 2 years. Unlike the Hegemony's slow expansion model, we moved fast. Each colony was established with defense as the priority. Underground cities, orbital defense platforms, and automated manufacturing facilities were standard features. We'd learned from first contact. Never again would human worlds be caught unprepared. The colony ships themselves showcased human ingenuity. While alien designs focused on efficiency, we built redundancy into everything. Each colony ship could split into multiple self-sufficient units if attacked. Every civilian vessel doubled as a potential military asset, a concept the Hegemony found barbaric, but would soon learn to fear. By 2160, humanity had established 5 major colonies across nearby star systems. Each became a fortress, a factory, and a testament to human determination. The Hegemony had unknowingly sparked a revolution in human space development. We weren't just reaching for the stars anymore. We were fortifying them, preparing for the war we knew would come. Our leaders understood that this was just the beginning. As one colonial governor famously said, "The galaxy gave us a choice between submission and extinction. We chose option 3, dominance." The hegemony returned in force in 2162. This time, they didn't bother with demands. A fleet of over 300 capital ships emerged simultaneously across human space, targeting our colonies with overwhelming force. Their first strike took New Eden, our furthest colony, in less than 6 hours. The orbital defenses, which we'd thought formidable, barely slowed them down. Within the first week, we lost 2 more colonies, thousands dead, millions displaced. The hegemony's technological superiority seemed insurmountable. Their ships could absorb punishment that would have destroyed Earth's entire pre-contact fleet. But then humanity did what it does best. We adapted. We learned. We innovated. The first breakthrough came from a cargo pilot who noticed the hegemony ships always maintained perfect formation spacing. Their AI navigation systems were programmed for maximum efficiency, which meant they were predictable. The second breakthrough came from gaming communities of all places. Esports players and strategy gamers were recruited to analyze hegemony battle patterns. They discovered that the aliens fought like machines, perfectly, but without creativity. Every tactic was mathematically optimal, but utterly lacking in imagination. That's when we changed our strategy. Instead of meeting their fleets in open battle, we fought like our ancestors. Like guerrilla fighters. Like pirates. We used asteroid fields as cover, turning them into deadly weapon systems with gravity manipulators. We scattered quantum mines that phased in and out of reality, making safe passages impossible to calculate. Our ships began operating in small, autonomous groups. Each captain was given full authority to improvise. We abandoned traditional military hierarchy for a more fluid command structure. The hegemony's perfect formations were useless against an enemy that refused to mass their forces into convenient targets. The turning point came at the Battle of Proxima Centauri. The hegemony committed a major fleet to take the colony, expecting another swift victory. Instead, they found every asteroid and piece of space debris in the system rigged with fusion charges. When they entered optimal attack range, the entire debris field detonated simultaneously. Their perfect formation became a perfect trap. Ships collided as they tried to evade, their predictable emergency protocols turning into a liability. Meanwhile, human ships struck from seemingly impossible angles, using the chaos of the debris field as cover. The hegemony lost 60 capital ships that day. More importantly, they lost their aura of invincibility. Their response was to become even more rigid, more predictable, implementing stricter battle protocols to prevent such defeats. They couldn't understand that their greatest strength, their perfect efficiency, had become their greatest weakness. By the end of 2163, we had retaken 2 of our lost colonies. The hegemony still held technological superiority, but their leaders were becoming increasingly frustrated. As one captured alien commander noted in interrogation, "Fighting humans is like fighting chaos itself. There is no logic to their tactics, no pattern to their strategies. They turn their own inefficiency into a weapon. While our guerrilla tactics kept the hegemony at bay, humanity's scientific community was working overtime. Every captured alien ship, every piece of salvaged technology became a treasure trove of information. But we didn't just copy their designs. We reimagined them entirely. The hegemony's shield technology, for instance, was incredibly efficient but inflexible. Our engineers created a revolutionary hybrid system. We layered traditional kinetic barriers with phase shift technology and electromagnetic fields. Less efficient, perhaps, but adaptable to almost any type of attack. Our greatest breakthrough came in weapons development. The hegemony used pure energy weapons, elegant but predictable. We combined their energy projection technology with mass driver principles. The result was the hybrid cascade cannon. It could switch between energy beams, kinetic projectiles, or a devastating combination of both. The hegemony's single-layer shields couldn't adapt fast enough to stop all 3. But it wasn't just military technology. We revolutionized their FTL drives by introducing quantum uncertainty principles. Their ships could travel faster, yes, but ours could now perform micro-jumps in combat, appearing where their targeting computers said we couldn't possibly be. Communication was another game changer. While the hegemony relied on quantum entanglement for instant communication, we developed what we called the quantum mesh. By creating networks of smaller entangled particles, we could transmit more data through what they thought were secure channels. Their entire command and control structure became vulnerable to our electronic warfare. Perhaps most importantly, we cracked their AI limitations. The hegemony purposely restricted their artificial intelligence, fearing rebellion. We had no such fears. Our AI systems were partners, not tools. They evolved alongside us, learning to think as creatively as their human counterparts. By 2164, human ships were no longer technological underdogs. What we lacked in raw power, we made up for in versatility. Each vessel became a testament to human innovation, able to adapt its weapons, shields, and tactics on the fly. The hegemony's technological advantage had been nullified not by matching their advancement, but by changing the rules of what advanced technology meant. As one human admiral put it, they built perfect weapons. We built weapons that don't need to be perfect, just surprising. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest technology wasn't in our ships or our weapons, but in our ability to reimagine what technology could be. Not every species in the galaxy supported the hegemony. The Astrian Alliance, a coalition of trading worlds, had long chafed under their restrictive policies. When they saw humanity successfully resisting, they made secret contact. What started as clandestine technology trades soon blossomed into something unprecedented: genuine partnership. Humanity's approach to diplomacy shocked them. Where the hegemony demanded submission, we offered collaboration. Where they imposed restrictions, we shared innovations. Our diplomatic corps had a simple motto: make allies, not subjects. Trade networks expanded rapidly. Human innovations weren't just military. Our entertainment, our art, our music began spreading through alien cultures. We discovered that our ability to blend different styles and adapt to new ideas made human culture surprisingly attractive to other species. Even some hegemony worlds began secretly consuming human media. But our greatest diplomatic weapon was education. We opened our universities to alien students, creating exchange programs that would have been unthinkable under hegemony rule. Young aliens returned to their worlds with not just human knowledge, but human ways of thinking, our creativity, our adaptability, our drive to question and improve. Joint defense initiatives followed naturally. The Astrians provided resources and star charts, while we shared our hybrid technology and tactical innovations. Training exercises became cultural exchanges. Alien officers learned human unconventional warfare, while we learned about their unique capabilities and perspectives. Most importantly, we demonstrated something the hegemony couldn't comprehend: strength through diversity. Every species brought unique advantages to our alliance. We didn't demand they conform to our methods. We adapted our strategies to incorporate their natural strengths. This flexibility proved devastating against the hegemony's rigid military doctrine. By 2165, what began as a resistance against the hegemony had evolved into a true alternative: the Terran Cooperative. Our allies didn't just fight alongside us, they began adopting our governmental systems, our educational methods, our technological innovations. We weren't just winning the war, we were winning the peace that would follow. As one Astrian elder told the council, "The hegemony taught us to fear difference. Humanity taught us to embrace it. That is why they will win, not through force, but through something far more powerful: hope." With our growing alliance, humanity's military doctrine evolved dramatically. We introduced what we called chaos theory warfare. While hegemony fleets operated like precise machines, our combined fleets behaved more like living organisms: adaptable, unpredictable, and devastatingly effective. The core of this approach was our revolutionary fleet neural network. Unlike rigid command structures, this system allowed instant tactical updates across all allied ships, combining human intuition, alien perspectives, and AI processing. Each ship could operate independently while still functioning as part of a greater whole. Our weapons development took an unexpected turn. Instead of focusing solely on destructive power, we created what we called tactical entropy weapons. These devices didn't just damage enemy ships, they introduced chaos into their systems. Quantum field disruptors would randomly alter their targeting calculations. Temporal distortion bombs would create microsecond delays in their perfect formations. The hegemony's response was predictable. They tried to develop countermeasures for each new weapon. But that was exactly what we wanted. Every countermeasure made their systems more complex, more rigid, more vulnerable to our next innovation. Fleet tactics became an art form. We developed the swarm scatter maneuver, where our ships would appear to break formation in chaos, only to reform at unexpected vectors. The Phantom Fleet strategy used holographic projectors and sensor ghosts to make our forces appear larger or smaller at will. Even our retreat patterns were designed to tempt enemy fleets into ambush positions. But our greatest innovation was the adaptive response matrix. This AI-driven system analyzed enemy patterns in real time, predicting their responses and automatically suggesting countermeasures. The more the hegemony stuck to their doctrine, the more predictable they became to our systems. We also revolutionized ship design itself. While hegemony vessels were specialized, our ships were built to adapt. Modular weapon systems could be reconfigured mid-battle. Power distribution could be altered on the fly. Even the hull geometry could shift to present different profiles to enemy targeting systems. As one hegemony commander noted in their final transmission before retreat, "Fighting humans is like fighting water. Strike at them, and they flow around your attack. Try to contain them, and they find every crack in your defense. They have turned unpredictability into their greatest weapon." By 2166, the Terran Cooperative was ready to launch what would become known as the Great Push. The offensive began simultaneously across 12 different sectors, each assault customized to exploit local hegemony weaknesses. Our intelligence networks had spent months feeding them false information, making them concentrate their forces exactly where we wanted them. The first phase targeted their supply lines. While their main fleets prepared for our frontal assault, our stealth ships struck their logistics chains. Quantum torpedoes destroyed their fuel refineries. Cyber warfare teams disabled their automated transport networks. Within days, their perfectly coordinated empire began experiencing critical supply shortages. The second phase revealed our true strength: coordination across species. Astrine ships, with their superior sensor technology, identified weak points. Human vessels executed precision strikes. Other allied species each played to their unique strengths. The hegemony's rigid battle doctrine couldn't adapt to fighting multiple species using different tactical doctrines simultaneously. In the Orion sector, our forces executed the largest swarm scatter maneuver ever attempted. Over 3,000 ships appeared to break formation chaotically, only to reform into deadly attack patterns from 12 different vectors. The hegemony fleet, trying to counter each vector individually, literally tore itself apart through conflicting evasive protocols. The third phase targeted their command and control systems. Our quantum mesh network had finally cracked their primary communication protocols. As their fleets tried to coordinate responses, we fed false orders into their network. Some ships received orders to retreat while others were commanded to advance. Their perfect formation discipline became their perfect undoing. Meanwhile, our adaptive response matrix was learning from every engagement. Each hegemony response was analyzed, predicted, and countered before they could even complete their maneuvers. Their tactical predictability, once their greatest strength, had become a fatal weakness. By the 4th month of the Great Push, we had liberated 37 star systems. The hegemony's response was to fall back to fortified positions, abandoning their outer territories. But this too played into our hands. Each retreat consolidated their forces into more predictable patterns, making them easier targets for our chaos theory warfare. The turning point came at the Battle of Arcturus. The hegemony committed 40% of their remaining fleet to hold this strategic position. They expected another scattered attack. Instead, we unveiled our newest weapon, the strategic gravity lance. By synchronizing multiple ships' gravity drives, we could create artificial singularities within their formation. Their losses were catastrophic. Over 600 capital ships destroyed or captured. The hegemony's aura of invincibility was shattered. More importantly, their own subject worlds began to see them as vulnerable. Rebellions broke out across their remaining territories, coordinated and supplied by our intelligence networks. As one human admiral noted in their victory transmission, the hegemony built an empire on the assumption that order always defeats chaos. We proved that adaptation always defeats rigid perfection. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity doesn't just survive chaos, we master it. As the hegemony's military power crumbled, humanity's economic influence soared. We didn't just capture their territories, we revolutionized them. The hegemony's rigid economic system was replaced with what we called the adaptive market network. Trade routes were no longer fixed paths but dynamic flows, automatically adjusting to supply and demand. Our first innovation was the introduction of quantum-secured cryptocurrency, backed by multiple species resources. Unlike the hegemony's centralized currency, this new system was decentralized and adaptive. Markets that had been stagnant for centuries suddenly burst with new energy and opportunities. Manufacturing underwent a complete transformation. While the hegemony had focused on massive, specialized factories, we introduced modular production systems. Our nanofabrication technologies could adapt to produce different products within hours. When combined with alien manufacturing techniques, this created an unprecedented level of industrial flexibility. Resource extraction became more efficient and sustainable. Human mining techniques, combined with alien environmental preservation technology, allowed us to access resources the hegemony had deemed impossible to reach. Former mining worlds, once stripped bare, were rehabilitated and made productive again. Trade route security took on a new dimension. Instead of the hegemony's method of fixed patrols, we established what we called dynamic response fleets. These combined merchant and military vessels could switch roles as needed, making every trade route both a commercial lane and a potential military asset. But perhaps our greatest economic achievement was the introduction of cross-species innovation centers. These facilities combined different species technologies and methodologies, creating hybrid solutions that would have been impossible under the hegemony's segregated system. Former enemy worlds began requesting these centers, seeing how they transformed local economies. By 2167, the economic balance of power had shifted completely. The hegemony's remaining worlds faced a simple choice: adapt to the new economic reality or face irrelevance. As one alien economist noted, humans didn't just defeat the hegemony's military, they made their entire economic model obsolete. They showed us that true wealth comes from adaptation, not control. The true revolution wasn't one with weapons or economics, but with something the hegemony never saw coming: culture. Human entertainment, particularly our concept of interactive storytelling, spread through alien societies like wildfire. Virtual reality games that adapted to different species' physiologies became universal social spaces. Our music, with its endless variety of styles and fusion of different influences, captured alien imaginations. Species that had never considered combining different artistic forms began creating new hybrid art styles. Even former hegemony worlds couldn't resist the appeal of human creative expression. Language became another unexpected vector of influence. English, with its adaptive nature and ability to absorb new concepts, emerged as the galaxy's primary trade language. But it wasn't just about communication. Human idioms and expressions began appearing in alien languages. Concepts like thinking outside the box and pushing the envelope spread across species barriers. The hegemony had always enforced cultural separation, believing it maintained stability. Instead, we introduced cultural exchange festivals, where different species could freely share their traditions, arts, and ideas. These festivals became so popular that even worlds still nominally under hegemony control began hosting them in secret. Perhaps most significantly, human social structures, our emphasis on individual choice and cultural adaptation, began influencing alien societies. Species that had lived under rigid caste systems for millennia began questioning their traditional hierarchies. The hegemony's perfect order was being undone not by force, but by the simple appeal of freedom to choose one's own path. As one alien artist famously declared, the humans' greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their ability to make change feel like an adventure rather than a threat.